We're live. The dogs also know we are live, so they have started barking. Now we just need to cue the chainsaw, the leaf blower. There's been mowers going all around the neighborhood this morning. Happy Santa time to you, everybody. Elf on a shelf, eat your heart out. We got an elf on a unicorn here. I tried really hard to be an elf. I looked for elf ears. I looked for a Santa hat. I looked for everything. And alas, we apparently live in the Grinch Christmas household. And so the Christmas unicorn that it is, the Christmas unicorn is where we're at. I tried to put a star on top of that and it just was, it wasn't a thing. But here we are. So elf on a shelf, you all were expecting Davo. He's not here because I have hijacked his live stream today. So hello, good morning, good afternoon, and happy Santa time once again. I trust everyone is feeling fit, healthy, and strong for a lifetime, and fitter and healthier and happier and stronger as we lead into this Santa time. Trust also that it has been your best year ever in 2022, and 2023 is shaping up to be your next best year ever, as it has been for me, for us, for Circle Leadership, and so many of the incredible humans that we get to play with each and every day. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time at the start of this live to say hello, welcome, season's greetings, thank you, and from the bottom of my heart and from my family to you and yours, a very Merry Christmas and happy holidays. So I'm so keen about this because it's shit week. It's shit week. And I'm not swearing, by the way. I trust that you've been enjoying the content that we've been putting out this week. It's been a little bit edgy. It's been a little bit kind of, on the, is this okay? Is this appropriate? But if you have a bit of a read through it, you can kind of see where we're leaning into. It makes sense. And today, the title of our video is, and I say our because this is Dave's and I've hijacked it, and I'm like, does a bear shit in the woods? Does a bear shit in the woods? And when I'm talking about shit, I'm talking about an acronym, S.H.I.T, and we're speaking to the concept of service, honesty, integrity, and trust as business values, Now, what we're seeing so much and what we love to do with people is help people understand not only why they do what they do, but how they uniquely think about why they do what they do. Because sure, Simon Sinek popularized the term around people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And we believe that the way that you uniquely think about that is why they buy it from you. The way that you uniquely think about that. So things like service, honesty, integrity, and trust, shit values, right? Because I'm Aussie, so I just want to shorten everything, except aluminium. Except this is a tangent, right? Because we're here with me now. Working with an incredible company, having some chats with the team at Canadian Aluminum the other day. Fine. And then when I read the word, I want to say aluminium, like the real Aussie bogan that I am. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I'm an Aussie. We're lazy. We like to shorten everything and put O's and ins and everything on the back of words so that we don't have to pronounce it in full. Why did we choose a word like aluminum and decide to chuck an extra I in there and call it aluminium? When did that happen? I don't even know. It was random. And now I've lost what I was talking about, but that's fine as well. This is what happens. Elf on the shelf, elf on the unicorn, and the unicorn kind of gets a little bit dazzly and me as the elf on the unicorn, I get myself off track and play little tricks on myself. But when we go back to service, honesty, integrity, and trust as business values, as core values, they're not necessarily, well, or at all unique. They're very, very commonplace. They're shit values because of what they stand for in the acronym, but also in the concept of the term, they're a bit shit. Not because they're not important, not because we shouldn't have them, but they're the cost. Is it possible that it's the cost of entry into having a business and being a decent human being? Right? And I wrote beg my pardon, I wrote a post about this yesterday, and I highly encourage you to have a little read of it. And I asked the question, are you a shit mate? Are you a shit mate? And in Australia, that's a term that we kind of use as a bit of a slang to describe someone who is a pretty crap friend, to be fair. But if you're a shit mate, if you turned up and rocked up in service of your friends, if you were honest with them, if you were acting out of integrity and were reliable, could people believe you and believe in you? And do you stand for that no matter what the situation? Is it possible that then a shitmate becomes a really, really good thing? And is being a shitmate the cost of entry into being a good, decent person, into being a great leader, into being a great colleague, a great friend, having a great business? Sure, those things are key, but they're foundational, they're commonplace. And if you're in a service-based industry or in a service-based business and you value service, well, I bloody hope so. Because if you're in a service-based business and you don't value service, then you're not going to get to serve very many people. It just makes no sense. It's not that they're inconsequential. It's that they're absolutely necessary, and they are the price of entry into this field of life, into this game that we call life, right? So if that's the case, then how can we shift our mindset and our perspective around the concept and around the notion of values so that we can really dig deep into, well, all right, if they're commonplace, if they're foundational, if it goes without saying that those things are important to us, we don't need to highlight the fact that you can trust us. You don't need to highlight the fact that we do business with integrity and we're honest when we tell you something that's the truth of it. How many times have we seen businesses in the past where they have things like honesty and integrity and trust as their core values, and then their directors end up in jail because of fraud? Things like that. Like, of course, talk to those things, chat to your customers, talk to your team about the importance of those things in your business, but they're not necessarily the unique thinking. They're not necessarily the unique thinking of your business. And the uniqueness is where that point of difference will come in. It's where people will see the way that you align with them on a personal and maybe a professional level as well. And they can see and feel themselves doing business with you because it just feels right. Because you see them in a way that they see you, in the uniqueness of the way that you think about why you do what you do. So that's a little bit about shit values really quickly. There's a lot more that we could go into with this, but that's pretty much the crux of it. That's the crux of it around when we talk about things like shit values. I'm actually going to extrapolate on a little bit more. Things like service, honesty, integrity, and trust. They're shit values not because they're bad, but because they're commonplace and they're absolutely essential and integral, and the price of entry, it goes without saying. So if you value these things, you absolutely should. I'm not a big fan of using the word should. We shouldn't should on ourselves. But these are the things that go without saying that are important to you. Speak to those things, lean on those things, build on those things, but they're not the uniqueness of your business. And that's where we're going to get into next strong about how do you actually dive in. If these things are super important to me, and they are, well, what is the unique thinking of my business? And what is the unique thinking about me as an individual and a person, and how I relate to myself and others? And how do I know that? And how do I figure that out? And we're going to chat about that next week, which I'm super excited about. Oh, by the way, we're here the whole way through the holiday season. We love what we do. So we've created a business and a lifestyle that allows us to show up all day, every day, at whatever time of the year, because we love it. We want to be here. We're here for it, and we want to keep rolling. So thank you for the space and opportunity to do that and to get fired up and lit up about it. So there's shit values. Now, I kind of got a bit excited the other day. I'm like, well, what about S.H.I.T values? Same sort of thing here. Service, honesty, integrity, trust, and excellence. Excellence is another one that I see thrown around as well. If you're in a business, if you're a person, if you're someone who, I believe that everyone on the face of the earth inherently wants to be their best, they do. People want to be successful by nature, and sometimes the circumstances of life and actual shit that happens, not shit values, squeeze us to maybe act out of accordance with what we know is good for us and what we want. But at the end of the day, people, I think, do inherently want to be and do their best. And so when we have things like excellence, we want to strive for excellence, or excellence is something that I really, really value. Same sort of thing. And these are just my opinions, by the way. And it's just asking you to have a little bit of think about it. And if it sparks a little bit more curiosity in yourself, that you can kind of go, especially at this time of the year when we're talking about things like my theme and these values and what we're going to be looking at as we move into 2023 and how we're going to shift into that, the energy and the thinking that's going to guide us into the new year. So things like excellence as well. It's like, well, if you're in business, are you there to do a half-assed job? Are you there to just do the bare-ass minimum? Do you go back to businesses that just do enough to get by, that just have you coming back? Or do you value businesses that are going over and above, that are excellent in their communication, in their delivery, in their presentation? So excellence, S.H.I.T values, add excellence onto the back of those. And then finally, S.H.I.T values: service, honesty, integrity, trust, truth. Excellence is there again. And my other favorite, respect. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, respect is what you do. It's not even what you do, but also who you are. When people say, oh, respect is one of my core values, our business, I used to work for an organization where our business values was respect. They were our respect values, because each of the letters in respect was an acronym for something else. It's one of those other ones that just goes without saying. If, like in business and as human, if you are going into the world and you don't give any shits about people, and if you disrespect people outwardly, overtly, you don't care. Firstly, if you're in business, you're not going to, oh, there's a bug on me. You're not going to be for much longer. Sorry, that was a bit not very excellent. Oh, it was crawling on my leg. I was on a roll, man. It was really great. Anyway, it's fine. It's good. We're good. So if you're in business, right? If you're in business and you are outrightly and overtly disrespecting people, you don't care about other people, you don't see them as people first, you don't care about what they want, their hopes, dreams, aspirations, and desires. How do you feel when you go into a shop and you're sitting there waiting to be served, and the people at the counter are too busy chatting about their weekend and which boy the little girls that are 15 in their first job like saw kissing at a party on the weekend, and you're sitting there and like, can you please acknowledge me? At that point, that's disrespectful. Again, these are just my opinions, and then I'm asking you to maybe consider the question for yourself as well. It's like, well, are you going to go back to that store? Are you going to be in a hurry to rush back there and give them your money and give them your business? Are you going to go and be really excited to go and have a conversation with a friend who'd rather be looking and scrolling on their phone than being engaged in a conversation with you? And is that disrespectful? And is being respectful, again, the price of entry into this game of life as a human and to be in business? And if you don't have respect, if you aren't respectful as who you are rather than just as something that you do, is it possible that you might not have a lot of mates and you might not have a lot of business? So when we're talking about things like S.H.I.T values, S.H.I.T values, S.H.I.T values, it's not that these things are bad. It's not that you shouldn't have them. In fact, they should form the foundation, the reinforced steel, the building blocks, the stab, the pillars at least, as you move through life as a human, any roles that you play in leadership, in business, and in life, whereby service, honesty, integrity, trust, telling the truth. I didn't even talk about that, but telling the truth and honesty, they're two really similar things, as is integrity, but again, it's what that means to you. Excellence and respect are just who we are. They're things that we embody by virtue of being human, inherently good humans that want success for ourselves and ultimately our businesses and the people in which we get to play this game of life with. So if those things are just part and parcel of life and who we are and how we get to show up in the world, what's your unique thinking about that? What's your unique thinking about why you do what you do? How do you uniquely think, and how do you define that? And so maybe if you have a little bit of downtime over the holidays, you might have some space to start thinking and percolating about that, because next week we're going to come back and we're going to teach you how to actually clearly define them in a way that makes sense to you and is easy and simple to understand in 5 words or less. Because what's also really interesting is something might mean a particular thing to you, but the same word or the same notion might actually mean something different to someone else. And so it's important then to understand and be able to clearly define what your definition is so that you can clearly articulate it. And so that when life is busy and complicated and all of the things, you've got a really clear-cut guidepost that helps you stay on track towards where you know you want to be and experience and express more of in this life. That was Elf on a Humicorn. Thank you so much for joining me, and I really appreciate being able to slide into your socials today or wherever you're watching this live. Thanks, Dave, for playing. You're welcome. And if you do want to catch Dave, we're just doing a little bit of a switcheroo. It was a cute little elf on a shelf moment for us, but I'm here today, and Dave's going to be on tomorrow on Friday at 12 p.m. local time on the East Coast. And if you're on the West Coast, that will be 10 a.m. your side. That's when Dave will be going live, 10 a.m. local time across my channels. You can catch him there, Lisa U. Ferg. Thank you so much. Again, merry, happy, safe holidays to everybody. We're getting on the roads tomorrow. We've got another 12-hour drive ahead of us, which is going to be super fun before we get around the fam bam and have a classic Aussie Christmas. Once again, give your loved ones a big hug. Remember what we're grateful for, and that this is the season for giving and gifting and remembering and knowing how important the things in our life are that really light us up. Okay. Merry Christmas. We'll talk about the new year next week, and start having a bit of a think about the uniqueness of the way that you think about things. That might be super cool. See ya.